Okay, let's start this event. Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Shalom, Om Swastiastu, Namo Buddhaya, Salam Kebajikan. The honorable adjudicators, the honorable senior leaders that join in this session, the honorable counselors, and all the participants. Currently, we have 71 participants from all over Indonesia. Welcome everyone to the third place match of Initiative National Debate Competition 2023. A match between Catwoman from Kedeputian Wilayah 6 versus General Atomic from Kedeputian Wilayah 8. Both teams are competing tonight to win the third place as well as 7,500,000 rupiahs as the prize. I can see that both teams are getting excited after hearing the prize. So before we start, I would like to introduce myself. My name is Laras Handoko. I'm from Kedeputian Wilayah 10 and I will be your moderator for today and lead the session until it ends. We would like to express our gratitude for today's amazing adjudicators. First adjudicator, Mr. Donni Hendrawan. Mr. Donni is one of our counselor at English Club. How are you, sir?
I'm fine, thank you. How about you? Are you fine also?
I'm fine too, sir. Thank you.
Okay, thank you.
Second adjudicator, Miss Citra Jaya. Hello, ma'am. How are you? I'm sorry, Mr. Citra Jaya.
Hi, hello, how are you? Yes, I'm here. How are you? Nice to be here.
Thank you, sir. And third adjudicator, Miss Kasih Lestari Payuk. Hello, ma'am. How are you, ma'am?
Hello, I'm good.
And last but not least, we have Miss Tati Dhenawati. Hello, ma'am.
Hello.
Okay, please let us know if there is something to clear out. And here we have two teams who have joined. Allow me to introduce them to all participants. In the affirmative house, we have Catwoman. We have Miss Duhita Ganes as the first speaker, Miss Mitsalina Maulida as the second speaker, Miss Alvira Koirinisa as a third speaker with their counselor, Mr. Sasongko Nugroho. Sorry. Okay, Catwoman, you have come this far. This is the third place match. How are you feeling?
We're feeling nervous, of course.
Okay, do you think you can win this third place? And can you tell us why?
We hope we can win this debate session because we're already prepared for the material since yesterday, and we thought that we have learned from our previous experience too. So we hope that we can deliver more great debate session for all of the audiences. Thank you.
Thank you and good luck to you, Catwoman. We move on to the negative house. We have General Atomic. We have Miss Ani Rahmayani as the first speaker, Miss Niken Umo Raihana as the second speaker, Mr. Ida Bagus Made Dwi Indrawan as the third speaker with their counselor, Mr. Iwan Kurnia. Before we start, allow me to read some small rules for all participants. No participants are allowed to open their microphone. Team members have to rename themselves with the predefined format. Each team member joins with their own Zoom account and are not allowed to join through single account. The operator may do necessary things to make sure that the session runs smoothly. That's it. Let's start the debate. So our motion for today is, this house believes that Indonesia should legalize marijuana for medicinal use. Definition. Medicinal use means that health workers are able to use them for medical purpose. Legalize means accessible to use in certain level or degree. The House that believes in this motion should provide arguments and data that show benefit of legalizing the marijuana for medicinal purpose. The first chance of speaking comes to first speaker of affirmative side. Are you ready?
Yes.
Okay, your time begins once you start speaking.
Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen, honorable adjudicators, senior leaders, and participants of Negative House. Today's debate is about legalization of marijuana for medical use in Indonesia. Today, we're not going to talk about the current law or regulation in Indonesia, because if we talk about regulation, there's no need for this debate. But we're going to talk about exploring new possibilities of medical use of marijuana that already approved by United States Food and Drugs Administrators. Our second speaker will provide evidence and benefit of medical use of marijuana, and I'm going to explain why Indonesia needs to legalizing marijuana for medical use. Medical use from FDA refers to intended use of a substance or device in the diagnosis, cure, mitigation, treatment, or prevention of disease in humans or animals. Medicinal compounds are tending or used to cure disease or relieve pain. The term medicinal is used to describe the properties of a plant or substance that can be used for medicinal purposes. Marijuana or cannabis sativa or Indian hemp is an annual herbaceous plant native to Central and Western Asia. The plant contains of 400 chemical compounds, and there are about 60 cannabinoids. Now, we're not going to talk about all of the marijuana as a whole, but only one of its active substances, and that substance is cannabidiol. So, why cannabidiol? Cannabidiol or CBD is a chemical component of the cannabis sativa plant. However, CBD does not cause intoxication or euphoria that comes from other active substance of marijuana. In 2018, U.S. Food and Drug Administration, or FDA, has approved Epidiolex from cannabidiol oral solution for the treatment of seizure associated with two rare severe forms of epilepsy, that is Lennox-Gastaut syndrome and Dravet syndrome, in patients for 2 years of age or above. This is the first FDA-approved drug that contains a purified drug substance derived from marijuana. It is also the first FDA approval of a drug for the treatment of patients with Dravet syndrome. In Indonesia, there's already a social conflict that happened because of prohibition of marijuana for medical use. There's protest from parents of patients with special needs because their child needs medication from marijuana. They're also applying to Supreme Court or Mahkamah Konstitusional for judicial review, but unfortunately, their apply was rejected. Ironically, one of the children was passed away only 1 month after the apply for judicial review.
1 minute left.
The urgency for the legalization of marijuana for medical use, that this is the only one and only FDA-approved medicine for Dravet syndrome. Imagine if we don't allow medical use for this medicine. It means we took the rights of patients with severe forms of epilepsy from Lennox-Gastaut syndrome and Dravet syndrome to get their medical. There are many countries that approve marijuana for medical use. For example, Brazil, Germany, and Australia. Those countries apply for strict restriction. And Indonesia also has approved morphine for restricted medical use for anesthetic and cancer pain. That shows that Indonesia can start to legalize marijuana for medical use. That's why our house believes that Indonesia should legalize marijuana for medical use. Thank you.
Thank you. Next, the first speaker of negative side. Your time begins once you start speaking.
Okay, thank you for the moderators for the opportunity this evening. Allow me to present the argumentation with the delivery from the affirmation team And our group believes that Indonesia shouldn't implement marijuana for medical uses because the general public has not been adequately informed about the recent scientific finding demonstrating the major adverse effect of medical cannabis on the physical, especially mental health, the latter varying in range for cognitive during brief psychotic experience to long-term education and chronic psychosis. In Indonesia, although there is legal fact relate to certain diseases that can be cured with cannabis, it is not directly proportional to the big consensus if there are no preparation. In particular, the legal structure and culture of the community as well as necessary its facility and infrastructure are not yet fully available. Thus, so far, there is not evidence of the comprehensive and deep scientific study and research in Indonesia. And the last, marijuana is category at the class 1 narcotic, which can only be used in science and technology. Meanwhile, the purpose of the treatment and based on the medical indication, what can only be given by doctor and narcotic class 1 and class 2. Also in the limited quantity to patient according to the provision of the law. So it can be decided if cannabis is used for a medical purpose. The act violates an applicable statutory provision because based in annex to the narcotics law. The cannabis is include the type group 1, Note 2 and 3. In the class of 1, for the medical alternative is also prohibited the use based on the rule if the narcotic class 1 are prohibited to be used for the interest of the health service. Can only be used the benefit of developing science and technology as well as diagnostic reagents and laboratory reagents after the obtaining ministerial approval on BPOM recommendation. The regulation issue including cannabis is group 1, meaning that those who violate will be subject this punishment to statutory law from 2002 and 20 years in prison. And based on the last narcotic and regulation law number 35 2000 and then Article 6 paragraph 1 said that narcotic class 1 are narcotic that can only be used for the purpose of knowledge development and not use the therapy and have the very high potential to use dependency. Even to the doctor in profession impossible to consume the types of drug, it will difficult to implement when faced with the reality because the marijuana is still a class 1 narcotic. In the public, cannabis has been considered a reality being a recreational drug in comparison is opiates, a stimulant, even alcohol. The favorable proportion of cannabis presumably reflects the absence of dramatic physical sign of intoxication of withdrawal. Incidentally, cessation of cannabis use does occur withdrawal, but the severity is marks the gradual rise of delta-9 tetrahydrocannabinol, THC, the major psychoactive. The ingredient in cannabis from the tissue where they accumulated during chronic use. The process is not unlike the tempering of medication during detoxification. And our group believes that indirect election. Believe that Indonesia should implement marijuana for medical uses. Thank you.
Thank you. Next, the second speaker of affirmative team. Okay, your time begins once you start speaking.
Okay, good afternoon, honorable adjudicator, ladies and gentlemen. So let me emphasize that we don't debate about the narcotic laws as my first speaker told. So let's get started to actually we talk about CBD in this case. So legaling the CBD for medication purpose is not the same with the legaling to the plant cannabis and legaling the cannabis for recreation. According to Lucille Repin, 2021, CBD is already highly purified and do not produce euphoric or intrusive side effect. And for implementing this, we can adopt the way of Australia implemented. According to TGA, 2020, CBD consumers cannot apply to the Therapeutic Goods Administration to obtain access to a non-approved medicinal cannabis products. So access can only be arranged through an Australian registered health practitioner. Approval is granted on a case-by-case basis. So we can say that if we allow the CBD for medication, it's not the same with the CBD will be easier and be more accessible. Not at all. Moreover, the World Health Organization 2018 report the CBD finding no evidence of abuse potential. So, ladies and gentlemen, the negative teams concerned about the harm of the CBD for medication. Meanwhile, we believe that making CBD for medication has so many advantages. So, the first advantage is stated by Davinsky et al. Although many new medications were approved in the last decades, the burden of drug-resistant epilepsy has remained stable over the years. Treatment-resistant epilepsies have a great impact on cognitive and behavioral function and quality of life, and there is an urgent need to search for new therapeutic options. Sharena, 2019 also stated that result of the scientific studies obtained so far, the use of CBD in clinical application could represent hope for patients who are resistant to all conventional anti-epileptic drugs. Simona Latanzi, 2021, highly purified CBD formulation was associated with a significantly greater percent reduction in seizure frequency than placebo over the treatment period. The seizure will persist throughout real life and cause intellectual disability, and this seizure could be just managed by CBD medication. And then, considering the high morbidity and mortality associated with uncontrolled epilepsy, CBD medication design should be considered. And then, CBD also rules a painkiller. Research by Charles 2014 suggests that CBD is an extremely safe and effective medication for many chronic and patients. A recent view which aimed to assess the efficacy of CBD for relieving pain in patients with malignant disease demonstrate a significant analgesic effect in, compared to the placebo. Also stated by Carlos 2020 that cannabis oil enhance the anti-nociceptive effect of morphine. So, on the other hand, CBD has also small side effects. Charles 2014, a majority of 70% reported no adverse effect, while 6% reported a cough and throat irritation. Also, Peruka 2017, CBD lacks psychoactive effects. It has more consistent anti-epileptic efficacy than THC. So, considering the minimal side effect and so many advantages, especially in epilepsy treatment, this is believed that Indonesia should legal marijuana for the medical purpose. And also, the first principle that legislating the CBD is we also support our SDGs and our constitutional. Ban Ki-moon, December 2014, the set commitment that no one will be left behind is at the heart on 2030 agenda with an emphasis of putting the less backward first. SDGs cannot consider it safe if there is still a discrimination. And this is contrary if there is still a discrimination, as my first speaker told. It just seems like we discriminate for this minor needed group to access the proper health services. That's why this house believes that Indonesia should legal CBD for medication purpose. Thank you.
Thank you. Next, the second speaker of Negative House. Your time begins once you start speaking.
Thanks to moderator. Good afternoon, the Honorable of Adjudicators, ladies and gentlemen. The affirmative team said about how Indonesia should legalize marijuana for medical use, especially with CBD or cannabinoid. But if this motion truly implemented in Indonesia, what's the impact? How can we monitor and control it? This should get special attention, and the affirmative team doesn't clearly explain about these people. In Indonesia, there are many cases about drug abuse. According to the BNN, 33,000 cases are revealed during 2019. Then up to 42,000 drug offenders was arrested. From this, the authorities confiscated more than 100 tons of marijuana. Then and also revealed 47-hectare cannabis plantation in Indonesia. With this data, can we monitor the use of ganja, especially for medical practice like the affirmative said before? How to make sure the implementation is in right purpose? This will be very challenging considering the large of territory and population in Indonesia. there'll be many impacts that are waiting to appear. Yeah, from NBER working paper of China, having when Jason and Janet find that legalization increased marijuana use and dependence in people at age of 21 or older. And the worst case is about mortality rate that also increased with 10 people in every year in America, based on Missouri Medicine articles. Besides that, let me explain the details from the first speaker said before, especially for answer why we shouldn't legalize the use of marijuana even though for medical use. The consideration of MK rejecting the application of judicial review Undang-Undang Nomor 35 Tahun 2009, here are the points. One is high dependency potential. This potential for narcotics category in category 1, including marijuana, are very high dependability and only can develop for scientific purpose. 2, like evidence and research about marijuana for therapeutic benefit. And 3, policy of other countries cannot be adopted. Mr. Lowe, source from Missouri Medical Journal in America in 2022, there is not enough evidence or medical research showing that the use of medical cannabis has a direct impact on the treatment of epilepsy, nausea or vomiting in case of HIV/AIDS, chemotherapy, ataxia, because the results of the research show that when compared to ondansetron, this drug has better effectiveness in treating nausea and vomiting after chemotherapy. Besides that, there are gabapentin to treat epilepsy. 2. In the world, there is no standardized pharmacy or factory for extracting the medicinal cannabis plant because of its dangerous effects. Safety must be ensured in the storage and manufacture of medical cannabis. And 3. If legalized, the public will carry out the practice of buying and selling marijuana illegally for the sake of their respective financial interests. And 4. Data shows an increase in addiction in patients who have received cannabis treatment, namely 10% of drug users containing cannabis return to using cannabis to get the same therapy, and this is higher than opium drug users. This data occurs in adults. And that is from me. Thank you.
Thank you. Next is the third speaker of the affirmative house. Your time begins once you start speaking.
Good afternoon.
Excuse me, Catwoman, you are on mute. Still not.
Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen, and adjudicators. Once again, that today we are not going to talk about the current law or regulation in Indonesia, because if we talk about regulation, there's no need for this debate, but we are going to talk about and explore new possibilities of medical use. Legaling the CBD for medication purpose is not the same with legaling to plant a cannabis or legaling the cannabis for recreation. According to Lucille Rabin in 2021, CBD is already highly purified and do not produce euphoric or intrusive side effects. And for implementing this, we can adopt the way Australia implemented. According to TGA 2020, CBD consumers cannot apply to the Therapeutic Goods Administration to obtain access and unproven medicinal cannabis products. Access can only be arranged through an Australia-registered health practitioner. Approval is granted on case-by-case basis. So we can say that if we allow the CBD for medication, it's not the same with the CBD will be easier and be more accessible, not at all. And as my second speaker said, that we believe that making CBD for medication has so many advantages. According to a report from the World Health Organization in 2021, in humans, CBD exhibit no effects indicative of any abuse of dependence potential. To that, there is no evidence of public health related problem associated with the use of pure CBD. Here, we are not legalizing the cannabis plant because the potential for misappropriation is very big. The plant, namely opium, is still included in class 1 narcotics because of the potential for great misappropriation as well as cannabis plant. Therefore, what should be legalized is not the cannabis plant, but medicine came from cannabidiol or CBD that approved by VIII and has been clinically tested with comprehensive and evaluation of the risks and benefits, which can be controlled in the dosage and how to use it and its use for medical therapy. In December 2015, the FDA eased the regulatory requirements to allow researchers to conduct CBD trials. The result, CBD is readily obtainable in most parts of the United States. All states have laws legalizing CBD with degrees of restriction. My second speaker explained about the advantage CBDs. We said that the National Institute for Clinical and Healthcare Excellence in 2019 recommends the prescription of the CBMP. That meant investigating cannabis-based medication for pediatric epilepsy found all studies to date use CBMP in adjunctive treatment with the majority using cannabis alone. And so our team believes that legalized medicine derived from cannabidiol or CBD that approved by FDA will provide health benefits. And until now, medical and health service Indonesia still focus to any aspect. It's time for palliative aspect to get attention so that they can profit more optimal service and can be reached by people who need them. I think so. This host believe that Indonesia sold legal marijuana for medical purpose. Thank you.
Thank you. Before we move on to the third speaker of Negative House, please make sure that your sound is clear and there is no feedback when you say your arguments. Okay, the third speaker of Negative Team, your time begins once you start speaking.
Okay, thank you, moderators, our honorable adjudicators, and all the audiences, also our honorable positive team. If we talk about the CBD substance in medical marijuana for medical use, before that, don't forget that we need to know first, cannabis or marijuana plants in Indonesia have a significant different characteristic other than other countries like in Brazil, Germany, and etc. Where in Indonesia, based on Badan Narkotika Nasional, the largest substance from cannabis plants is tetrahydrocannabinol, which is consists 18%, which is more psychoaddictive compared to other substance called CBD, which is only consists 1%, which we can believe that cannabis probably has a positive impact to medical improvement. So we can take a glimpse conclusion. If Indonesia approved the legalization, will cause a greater negative social and psychological impact on society, such as the dependent effects of patients after using medical marijuana, which already stated by our first and second speaker, and also the psychological effect based on Public Medicine Journal or NCBC, such as patient become apathy, losing focus, lack of empathy, and not being able to socialize in community. Ladies and gentlemen, once again, there is no research said confidently and scientifically that medical marijuana has a positive impact on medicinal use, like to cure the disease. But in other hands, many research found that the effects of dependence from the use of medical marijuana, like what a positive team already said, the doctor the doctor in the MK case has received medical marijuana treatment in Australia for her cerebral palsy. especially to decrease the severe effect. But now her daughter cannot be separated from this medical marijuana. It shows that the dependence effect is totally happen in reality. And also, according to the Ministry of Health, that there are other drugs that give the same anti-seizure effect, that there is no effect of dependence, such as which our second speaker said, gabapentin or valproate acid. And in addition, we must realize if medical marijuana is legalized, it is certain that there will several groups of people who will make illegal sales for personal gain, which will have an impact on drug abuse. Even nowadays, the purchase of drugs at the pharmacy can be done without doctor's prescription. So it means there is no internal controlling from using the drugs, even if medical marijuana is legalized. It shows that this legalization will lead to legal problems and also the negative social impact. Also, what we need to underline again that the main purpose legalization of medical marijuana in other countries is controlling the illegal trading, but the country is smaller area than Indonesia. So it means if we have to control this legal trading, we requires more manpower and facilities resources. So our house still highly reject this legalization of marijuana medical use in Indonesia before there is scientific evidence that states the use of medical marijuana and its derived drug are better than existing drug. And until there is an appropriate policy from the government to control the spread of medical marijuana and non-medical marijuana and preventive ways to abuse medical marijuana from both physician and ordinary people. Thank you.
Thank you. Now we are entering the conclusion part. The first team that deliver their conclusion or replies goes to the negative team and then replied by the affirmative team. The negative team, you shall be ready. Your time begins once you start speaking.
Thanks for this opportunity. Let me conclude about some points that we want to convince the adjudicators and all of the audience in this afternoon. Several research journals claim the benefits of cannabis, but the popularity of medical cannabis is considered a mere sensation. This was stated in a recent scientific study published in the journal Lancet Psychiatry. Researchers screened 83 studies of the effects of cannabinoids on people with mental health and neurological problems. If we want to use cannabis for medical purpose, then we have to wait for the results of the research. So it's not just claim to exist, but weak and not yet strong supporting research. It seems that there are still many things which must be taken into consideration if you want to use medical cannabis. Maybe it's time for research on cannabis for medical reasons to be encouraged by the government so that the legalization process has strong arguments and is definitely based on valid science. Despite finding positive results here and there, several studies have shown no evidence that the CBD THC content in medical cannabis can reduce anxiety and certain symptoms of PTSD. So that we don't necessarily equate the characteristic of several countries with Indonesia in the legalization of medical cannabis for health service. Ladies and gentlemen, we believe that marijuana should not be legalized in Indonesia. And there are some points that I'll explain to you. The first is, cannot be legalized in Indonesia because it is clearly prohibited in Law number 36 of 2019. If cannabis is in Category 1, it cannot be for the benefit of health service therapy. The second is, there has been no research on the effectiveness of the use of medical cannabis in Indonesia, while in terms of infrastructure, it is also not sufficient for the production of medical cannabis. And the third is, there is a big tendency to legally trade cannabis due to the limited understanding of the Indonesia people about cannabis. And the fourth is, adverse effects on health still exist, especially addiction in the use of medicinal cannabis. This is a source from Missouri Medical Journal in America in 2022. So, we believe that marijuana should not legalize in Indonesia. Thank you for
Thank you. Next is the affirmative side. Your turn. Time begins once you start speaking.
Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen and honorable adjudicators. First of all, we're not proposed legalizing all parts of marijuana or marijuana for recreational use, but only one of its substance that's already approved by United States FDA, and that substance is CBD. Meanwhile, the active substance that causes dependency is delta-9 THC. It's two different substances. The urgency for the legalization of marijuana for medical use is cannabidiol is the only one and only drug that approved by FDA for Dravet syndrome. It can't be replaced with with valproate acid or gabapentin. Also, we need to remember that approval of cannabidiol by FDA, it serves as a reminder that advancing adequate research and development that properly evaluate active ingredients contained in marijuana can lead to important medical therapies. It's impossible these drugs will be approved by FDA if there's no research before. We believe that it's already researched and clinically trialed, so it can be used for medicinal purposes. And there are many countries that approve marijuana for medical use. For example, Australia, Germany, and Brazil. Each country that allows marijuana for medical use has its own restriction. For example, Brazil only allows marijuana for medical use for terminally ill patients or those who have exhausted other treatment options. In Australia, cannabis medicine must be registered with the Therapeutic Goods Administration and meet certain qualified conditions. Germany allows the use of cannabis for seriously ill patients who have consulted with a doctor and have no other therapeutic alternative. In addition, Indonesia already allows another narcotic substance for medical use, and that is morphine. Morphine is used for anesthetic agent and for cancer pain. And there's no evidence that medical use of morphine leads to morphine abuse. It shows that with certain restriction and supervision, it's also possible to legalize marijuana for medical purpose in Indonesia. That's why our house believes that Indonesia should legalize marijuana for medical use. Thank you.
You still have 25 seconds left. Do you want to use it?
It's enough. Thank you.
Okay. Thank you, Affirmative House. Now the debate session is over. Thank you for both teams. You both have delivered great arguments for this debate. Now it's time for the adjudicators to discuss in the breakout room and then come back to deliver comments and announce the winning team of the session. Participants may have a break or bathroom break while waiting, but please stay still in this room until adjudicators come back. Honorable adjudicators, you may now enter the break.
Is there any link to the breakout room? I don't see it in my screen.
You can click the join breakout room, sir. It's already been assigned to you.
I don't have any link.
You can press the 3 dots
Oh, sorry.
and then join.
Join record.
Yes.
Thank you.
You're welcome, sir.
skies. She said, oh, I know the sun was set to rise. This could be paradise. Paradise could be paradise. Oh, this could be paradise. Paradise could be paradise. Oh, angels sent from up above. You know you make my world light up. When I was down, when I was hurt, you came to lift me up. Life is a drink and love's a drug. Oh, now I think I must be miles up. When I was a river dried up, you came to rain and flood. Just a drink from me, when I was so thirsty. Put on a symphony. No, I just can't get enough. Put your wings on me, when I was so heavy. Pour on a symphony. When I'm low, I'm feeling drunk and high, so high, so high. I'm feeling drunk and high, so high, so high. Oh, angels sent from up above. I feel it coursing through my blood. Life is a drink, your love's about to make the stars come out. Put your wings on me, when I was so heavy. Pour on a symphony. When I'm low, gone. With me she'd say everything you want to dream away. We are legends every day. That's what she told me. Turn your magic on. To me she'd say everything you want to dream away. Under this pressure, under this weight, we are diamonds. And I feel my heart beating. I feel my heart underneath my skin. I feel my heart beating. You make me feel like I'm alive again. Alive again. Oh, you make me feel like I'm alive again. Said I can't go on, not in this way. I'm a dreamer, die by light of day. Gonna hold up high the sky and say, only I own it. And I feel my heart beating. I feel my heart underneath my skin. Oh, I can feel my heart beating. 'Cause you make me feel like I'm alive again. Turn your magic on, and she'd say everything you want to dream away. Under this pressure, under this weight, we are diamonds taking shape. We are diamonds taking shape. Come up to meet you, tell you I'm sorry. You don't know how lovely you are. I had to find you, tell you I need you, tell you I set you apart. Tell me your secrets and ask me your questions. Now let's go back to the start. Running in circles, coming in tails, heads on the sides apart. Nobody said it was easy. It's such a shame for us to part. Nobody said it was easy. take me back to the start. I was just guessing at numbers and figures, pulling your puzzles apart. Questions of science, science and progress did not speak as loud as my heart. Tell me you love me, come back and haunt me. Oh, when I rush to the start, running in circles, chasing tails, coming back as we are. Nobody said it was easy. Oh, it's such a shame for us to part. Nobody said it was easy. No one ever said it would be so hard. I'm going back to the start. Look at the stars, look how they shine for you, and everything you do. Yeah, they were all yellow. I came along, I wrote a song for you, and all the things you do.
Okay, welcome back our adjudicators. So the adjudicators have discussed and decided which team deserves to win the third place, as well as bringing home the winning prize of 7,500,000 rupees. Let's hear the adjudicators' comment. First, we would like to invite Mr. Citra Jaya to deliver the comment. The time and media are yours.
Thank you. First of all, congratulations for both teams and also for the counselors, Mas Songko and Payuk, both are my close friends. Congratulations for the debate. Overall, I think when I made my scores, I really took into consideration the delivery of the debate. That's why my first score would be given to whether you can pronounce or speak English clearly, so we can understand what the arguments are. Because for me personally, this is not an easy topic. I am not that familiar with cannabis, so it's very important for me to really listen and understand clearly what you're saying. And one particular team in overall have delivered their arguments better than the other. So congratulations on that. Also from the core of the debate, I think one of the team also provide stronger arguments. I particularly like the fact that you use local evidence from Indonesia to counter evidence from other countries, because bringing local context for me adds more depth into your argument. So that's my second point. And of course, from the strategy of the debate, from the timing of the speech of each person, I think one team also have an overall better score than the other. You're more on time compared to the other team. So congratulations. I'm not going to mention which team is better. That would be mentioned later by Dena, but that's my overall comments from this debate. So congratulations and thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Next, we'd like to invite Mr. Donni Hendrawan to deliver the comment. The time and media are yours, sir.
Yeah, thank you, Mrs. Moderator. First of all, also I would like to to say congratulations for both teams for getting in this pace. And as adjudicators, it's very hard for me to decide which one is better than another one. But the show must go on, and I have to conduct my duty. And for me, even though I'm a doctor and this topic is very familiar to me, and also this topic is quite a subject that I heard for so long, still complicated for me to understand it. Actually, this topic also might be what I mix with my perception and my thoughts and my value about the cannabis itself as a highly potential misuse subjects. And that's why from this topic, actually, I really want to hear the argument from both teams, why and how and what to do with this issue. I mean, if you say, oh, we should do this, but I expect I want to hear there's a quite clear roadmap, or at least steps how to make it possible. And if you say, no, I'm against this, I also want to hear why and what is the main reason for that. And actually, based on that conversation that you already have conduct, I can see that both teams are trying to defend their ideas, their suggestion, but still, I really appreciate the issue, the strategy or the solution that might be possible to achieve or might be possible to conduct, not only based on papers or not only based on journals, but actual real things that can be done in the real life, because actually this is the topic right now. And for me as a doctor, I really want to see whether this will bring good to the patient itself, whether the quality of his life or her life, or their capability to conduct daily activity will be improved whenever this issue is accepted or maybe not accepted. So I really value that, because for me, every drug is poison. But the most important thing, how can you optimize the poison to achieve a high quality of life to the patient. And this is the first things that I consider to judge the discussion between both teams. And the second reason is I really consider how you give or speak your idea, and it's not too, I hope it's not too fast or not like you are chasing by a ghost or something, because it's kind of hard for me to understand it if you talk it too fast, or if you talk it in a little bit strange pronunciation, because actually our mother tongue is not English. So then this is a debate. Debate is not, and this is not a race in fast speed. No, not like that. It's a debate. So if you want to everybody to understand what is the contents of the core of the debate, you must speak it just not too fast, just clearly, and pronunciate it in a very clear way, so everyone can understand what you are point out. And another thing is also judge your gesture, because I think the debate is also must show your expression, because the debate will not interesting if you say no, but you are saying it with very wide smile, something like that. Or if you say yes, but you say it with like your eyebrow is getting near one each other, and it's not. I think it's not clearly expression the way you think your idea about the one that you're talking about. So based on this, I already decide my decision, but it's not for me to pronunciate it to you. So just wait for Budena to announce it. But most of all, I thank you again for your effort, for your performance, and hope to see you next year. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Donni Hendrawan. Next, we would like to invite Ms. Kasih Lestari Payuk to deliver the comment. The time and media are yours, ma'am.
Thank you, Ms. Laras. Okay, first of all, congratulations to both teams for keeping the debate quite interesting and lively. You have made this far to this third place playoff, so of course, congratulations. I'm glad that some speakers from both affirmative and negative houses seem to know how to present the arguments. Of course, although there are several things that still need to be addressed, I think the previous the previous adjudicators have already pointed out the important things. So first, I just want to highlight this again. Teams, the key to winning a debate is how you convince the audience and adjudicators, specifically adjudicators, about your team's point of arguments. And one of the most important things is the articulation. You need to give a clear articulation so your arguments are more compelling, appealing, and convincing. Like, you need to be persuasive. If you're not persuasive enough and you only focus on your script, you're not really give what the educators wants actually. And the second one that also important is, I actually wish that both teams could specifically point out the opponent's argument, maybe quote and unquote the arguments, and proceed with your counter arguments or counterpoints, and of course the evidence, which I guess you already have stated enough. And the connecting line between the speakers, specifically for the second and third speaker, because your job is to attack and rebut. Specifically for the third speakers, your job, 2/3 of your job is to rebut and attack. You don't need to give a new arguments on your speeches. And I saw and I heard some some of the argument given are new and not really emphasizing from your previous speakers. And the third one that I want to add, it's actually about the time management. If you can hear that your previous speeches from both of the teams, I saw one of the team quite good in making an arrangement of their speeches better than the other one. So please remind us that time management is also a crucial thing when you're doing event. Like it shows your ability to structure your speech, your strategy, how you sort out your priorities, and if you actually could manage your under time to emphasize your argument more, it will be better. So actually, it'd be better if you could practice it more on your preparation before the actual debate. Okay, but nonetheless, our teams did great, and so good job on bringing the competitive spirit. I think that's all for me, and I wish you the best luck. Thank you. Back to you, Ms. Laras.
Thank you, Ms. Kasih. Last but not least, we would like to invite Ms. Tati Dhenawati to deliver their comment and announce the winner. Time media are yours, ma'am.
Okay, thank you, Laras. Okay, everyone, you have heard from all the judges, all adjudicators. Basically, all the judges emphasize on what's their job as affirmative side of the house and what's your job as negative side of the house. You need to defend or oppose the motions. We expected this debate would be a proposal debate, not a philosophical debate. This is wrong or right, no, but it is a proposal debate. You offer a proposal and how to do it, then the negative house oppose the proposals. Before I announce the best speaker and the winner, I would also like to say that next time you do debate, please listen to what your opponent's speech, so you know what arguments you need to address, what counter arguments you need to answer, and then the debates will be more coherent and more flowy. Okay, anyway, all the judges agree that the best speaker of tonight's match is the second speaker of the negative side of the house. You have done a really good job in explaining your arguments calmly and collected, and professional. And you also address some of the questions that need to be answered by the affirmative. Unfortunately, there some of the questions wasn't answered or wasn't addressed by the affirmative side of the house. And the best speaker, the winning team of tonight's debate is this is collectively agreed by all the judges, is the winner is the negative side of the house. Congratulations, General Atomics. Iwan? Yeah. Third speaker of the affirmative side of the house. Negative, sorry. Congratulations, General Atomics. Back to Mbak Laras.
Congratulations, General Atomic. You are officially the third winner of INDC 2023. And you guys are bringing home the prize of 7,500,000 rupiah. You guys deserve it, and we highly appreciate Catwoman that also shows us an incredible performance. We hope that you join us again next year. Thank you everyone for joining today's match. Thank you for all our amazing adjudicators, teams, counselors, and supporters from all over Indonesia. I'm Laras. We apologize for all the mistakes in the session. We say goodbye to Draw. See you on Thursday at the grand final of INDC 2023 that will be held offline at Ballroom of BPJS Kesehatan Headquarters. Thank you and congratulations, General Atomic.
Congratulations, Pak Iqbal.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Congratulations. Bye-bye.
Okay, congratulations. Thank you.
Okay, see you tomorrow.